The night cracked open with Emily screaming, "How could you do this to me, Sarah?" Her voice carried through the empty street like glass shattering, raw and sharp. Sarah stood frozen, her eyes wide, trembling with guilt she could no longer hide. Daniel shifted uncomfortably nearby, his silence heavier than words that refused to come. Michael whispered, "This isn't how it was supposed to end." Emily's heart pounded in her chest as the rain fell harder, each drop echoing betrayal like a drumbeat of loss. Sarah said, "You told me your secrets because you trusted me, but I loved them more than I ever loved you." Emily staggered back, the weight of those words hitting harder than thunder breaking across the stormy sky. Daniel clenched his fists, caught between loyalty and shame, unsure where to stand. Michael muttered, "Secrets don't just vanish, they consume us until nothing is left." The street lamp flickered, shadows stretching across their faces as if even the night recoiled in fear. Emily's tears mixed with rain, her trust collapsing in a single unrepairable moment. Emily whispered, "We were supposed to be forever." Sarah bit her lip, unable to meet her eyes. Daniel muttered, "Forever doesn't survive lies." Michael's silence carved heavier wounds than words. Rain soaked them all, but no storm matched the one inside Emily's chest. Sarah said, "You gave me secrets I couldn't carry." Emily shouted, "You gave them away." Daniel exhaled, jaw clenched, his loyalty cracking. Michael closed his eyes, whispering, "Truth always comes with a price." Silence weighed heavier than the storm. Emily's voice broke, "I trusted you more than anyone." Sarah whispered, "And I failed you." Daniel turned away, rain hiding his shame. Michael's whisper pierced, "Betrayal doesn't just break trust, it kills who we were." Their faces bore the scars of truth. Emily said, "I can never unhear your words." Sarah's tears mixed with rain, her silence an admission. Daniel muttered, "The damage is done." Michael whispered, "Sometimes endings come before goodbyes." The storm drowned them, but nothing silenced the betrayal. The memory drifted back to a warm afternoon, where Emily laughed so freely, it felt like sunlight. Sarah said, "We'll never lose each other, right?" Emily nodded, clutching her pinky to Sarah's, sealing their promise. Daniel watched from the porch, his grin quiet but proud. Michael leaned against the old fence, capturing the scene with his phone like he knew it would matter someday. Emily whispered, "Secrets are safe with you, Sarah." Sarah replied, "Always." The laughter rolled into the evening, their voices blending with cicadas in the air. They built castles of trust with simple words, believing no storm could touch them. Emily felt invincible in Sarah's presence, the world brighter, safer. Michael muttered softly, "Moments like these don't last forever." Daniel teased, "Stop being dramatic." The air buzzed with warmth, the kind that only childhood friends could craft. None of them imagined those promises would one day unravel. On another night, their voices echoed across the rooftop, stars scattered above them like secrets waiting to be spoken. Emily said, "If we ever drift, remind me of this moment." Sarah smiled, "We won't drift, Emily, I swear." Daniel lay stretched out, arms behind his head, grinning lazily. Michael whispered, "The night has ears. Careful with what you promise." Emily nudged Sarah playfully, laughing through her words. "It's us against the world." Sarah whispered, "Always." Their voices blended with city sounds, traffic humming below. For Emily, those nights were proof of eternity, stitched into the fabric of her trust. Sarah's hand rested over Emily's, steady and warm, their hearts tethered. Michael snapped a photo, the flash briefly sparking like lightning. Daniel said, "When we're older, we'll laugh at this, but we'll still be together." Their laughter carried across rooftops, tangled with innocence they thought unbreakable. Emily remembered the day Sarah defended her at school, standing like a shield. Sarah shouted, "Leave her alone, she's with me." Emily's heart swelled, whispering, "Thank you." Daniel stood near the lockers, fists ready but unnecessary. Michael leaned by the doorway, eyes sharp, saying nothing yet watching everything. Their bond was armor, unshakable. Emily thought, this is what loyalty looks like. Sarah grinned proudly. Nobody touches you when I'm around. That moment cemented Emily's belief that Sarah would always protect her. Daniel said later, you two are unstoppable. Michael murmured, even steel rusts someday. Emily brushed it off, hugging Sarah tighter, convinced their friendship was eternal. They walked away together, shoulders brushing, laughter echoing through empty hallways. The echo of footsteps felt like music, a soundtrack to promises too sacred to break. The lake shimmered as the four of them sat by its edge, summer air thick with fireflies. Emily tossed a pebble, ripples chasing outward. She said, this feels like forever. Sarah leaned close, whispering, it is forever. Daniel skipped a stone farther, smirking, beat that. Michael said, the water always remembers what touches it. Emily laughed, pulling her knees to her chest, heart warm from Sarah's presence. Sarah rested her head on Emily's shoulder, quiet and steady. Daniel teased, you two will drown in each other before the lake drowns you. Emily smiled. That wouldn't be so bad. The ripples caught moonlight, stretching across water like silver threads. Michael's eyes reflected the glow, voice low. Even water betrays when it freezes. Emily ignored the words, holding Sarah's hand, believing nothing could crack them. Emily recalled the endless phone calls, voices tangled in secrets only they knew. Sarah whispered, you're the only one I tell everything. Emily replied, me too. Their voices filled empty rooms with laughter and tears. Daniel sometimes joined, teasing them with stories that made them laugh until they cried. Michael rarely spoke but always listened, his silence steady and unsettling. Emily confessed dreams. Sarah confessed fears, and together they built a vault of truth. Emily believed that vault would never open without her. Sarah promised, no one else will ever know. Emily trusted completely, blind to the cracks beginning. Daniel said, you two talk like the world isn't outside those lines. Michael murmured, walls don't always hold. But Emily silenced the warning, holding tighter to Sarah's words, believing forever could not fracture. Emily noticed the first crack when Sarah stopped answering calls. She whispered, you're distant. Sarah replied flatly, I'm just busy. Daniel frowned, watching Emily's worried eyes. Michael muttered, busy is a word that hides more than it shows. Emily held her phone longer each night, waiting for Sarah's name to appear. The silence stretched, unfamiliar and cruel. Sarah laughed with others at parties, but Emily wasn't invited anymore. Daniel said, she's changing. Emily argued, no, she's just tired. Michael sighed, you're blind to what's obvious. Trust once warm began to chill like frost across glass. Emily clung to Sarah's promise, ignoring the weight in her chest. At a crowded cafe, Emily waved to Sarah, but Sarah looked away, pretending not to see. Emily whispered, why did she ignore me? Daniel muttered, she saw you. Michael said, distance is deliberate, not accidental. Sarah laughed with a new group, her smile sharp and different. Emily's heart clenched as memories of pinky promises stung her chest. Daniel asked, will you chase her forever? Emily replied, she's my best friend. I can't just let go. Michael whispered, sometimes holding on only hurts more. The noise of the cafe drowned Emily's hope. Emily remembered the night Sarah canceled again, her excuses thin. Emily whispered, we had plans. Sarah replied coldly, things change. Daniel clenched his jaw, muttering, friends don't change overnight. Michael said, they do when the truth grows louder than loyalty. Emily sat in her car, headlights reflecting her tears. Sarah's words replayed, shredding her belief in forever. Daniel rested a hand on her shoulder, silent comfort. Michael's shadow lingered, his eyes heavy with warnings. Emily didn't want to hear. Trust cracked further, each word of Sarah's making it worse. Sarah began avoiding eye contact, her laughter reserved for strangers. Emily whispered, what did I do wrong? Sarah replied, nothing. Emily? Daniel snapped, That's worse because it means she's choosing this. Michael said, when people drift, it's rarely by accident. Emily clung to Sarah's fleeting touches, a smile here, a nod there, but the warmth was gone. Her heart screamed louder than her words, but Sarah refused to hear. Daniel muttered, "Stop excusing her." Michael whispered, "Truth is closing in." The cracks were undeniable, yet Emily refused to let go of hope. The silence between Emily and Sarah turned into a canyon. Emily whispered, "We don't laugh anymore." Sarah shrugged, "We just grew up." Daniel said, "That's a lie, and you know it." Michael murmured, "Growing apart is often just betrayal in disguise." Emily remembered nights of whispered secrets, now replaced by empty echoes. Sarah's phone lit up with someone else's name, her smile wide. Emily felt invisible, broken in places she couldn't explain. Daniel clenched his fists, helpless. Michael whispered, "You were watching the end before it's spoken." Emily swallowed the pain, determined to believe forever wasn't already gone. The truth came in whispers Emily wasn't meant to hear. Michael said, "She told them everything." Emily froze, her chest collapsing. Sarah's laughter with strangers wasn't just distance, it was betrayal. Emily whispered, "She gave away my secrets." Daniel growled, "She sold you out for attention." Emily's world tilted. Sarah had loved the secrets more than the friendship. The weight of every late-night call and every whispered promise came crashing down. Michael whispered, "This is the knife you never saw coming." Emily gasped, the sound breaking like glass. Emily confronted Sarah in the rain-soaked alley. Emily shouted, "You told them my secrets." Sarah snapped, "They weren't yours alone." Daniel stepped forward, fists tight. Michael whispered, "This is where it all breaks." Sarah's eyes glinted, half guilt, half defiance. Emily screamed, "You chose them over me." Sarah replied, "I chose survival." The words sliced deeper than the storm around them. Daniel muttered, "No survival is worth this." Emily's chest heaved, her trust dead in her hands. Sarah said, "They wanted the truth, and I gave it." Emily whispered, "You gave away me." Daniel's voice shook, "That's unforgivable." Michael muttered, "Truth turned weapon is sharper than lies." Emily's knees wavered, the weight unbearable. Sarah looked away, jaw tight, unable to face what she'd done. Emily screamed, "You killed us with your words." Sarah whispered, "Maybe we were already dying." Daniel's fury sparked, his voice like thunder, "No, you destroyed it." Emily's tears blurred her vision, the storm inside louder than the rain. Emily staggered backward, her voice breaking, "You loved my secrets more than you loved me." Sarah flinched, the words cutting deeper than she expected. Daniel muttered, "That's the truth she can't outrun." Michael whispered, "This is the scar that never heals." Emily's heart pounded as the realization rooted itself. Sarah had chosen betrayal over loyalty. Sarah's lips trembled, but no apology came. Emily's tears fell harder, each drop a piece of her shattered trust. Silence fell heavy, broken only by rain. Emily whispered, "You ended us." Sarah said nothing, her eyes hollow. Daniel whispered, "She's gone, Emily." Michael muttered, "What's left is just ashes." Emily collapsed against the wall, sobs tearing through her. Sarah turned away, her shadow long against the wet ground. Daniel clenched his fists, powerless to fix what was already destroyed. Michael's gaze lingered, heavy with truths he'd always known. The betrayal hung in the air, unshakable, unrepairable. The storm inside, Emily finally erupted. She screamed, "You broke me, Sarah." Sarah shouted back, "I broke nothing, you were fragile." Daniel slammed his fist against the wall, yelling, "Enough lies." Michael whispered, "Every word tonight is fire." Rain hammered harder, drowning the echoes but not their fury. Emily stepped closer, her eyes blazing. "You loved my secrets more than me." Sarah's face twisted with guilt and defiance. "Your secrets gave me power." Daniel's voice shook with rage. That's betrayal, not friendship, Michael muttered. This is the storm we feared. The night became thunder and knives of words. Emily lunged forward, tears streaming. You killed everything we built. Sarah hissed. I freed myself from your cage of secrets. Daniel shouted. You don't betray family. Michael whispered. Family is the sharpest blade. Emily's chest heaved as her voice cracked. You loved being my vault, not my friend. Sarah's words struck like thunder. And you loved having someone weaker to lean on. Daniel snarled. She never leaned, she trusted. Michael said. Trust is a dangerous leash. The air quaked with grief and fury, none willing to back down. Emily shoved Sarah, her voice breaking. I gave you everything. Sarah staggered, then hissed. And I used everything because I could. Daniel grabbed Sarah's arm. Furious, she trusted you with her soul. Sarah yanked away, screaming, and her soul suffocated me. Emily fell to her knees, sobbing. I was never enough for you. Michael whispered. This is the truth unraveling. Daniel's voice cracked. You're destroying her, Sarah. Sarah's eyes flashed, torn between guilt and pride. Emily's sobs became thunder, shaking the night. Emily rose, her voice sharper than lightning. I loved you, Sarah, but you loved betraying me more. Sarah's face crumbled, whispering, I didn't mean for it to end like this. Daniel roared, but it has ended. Michael said, endings don't wait for permission. Emily's hands trembled, pointing at Sarah. You made me bleed with words no blade could cut. Sarah sobbed. I was jealous of your light. Emily froze, the truth stinging deeper. Daniel muttered, so envy was the root. Michael whispered, every root rots eventually. Silence hung, heavier than thunder. Emily whispered, broken yet fierce, you don't deserve my secrets or me. Sarah fell silent, her tears merging with rain. Daniel said, walk away, Emily, before she steals what's left of you. Michael whispered, what's left is scar, not love. Emily stepped back, her heart splintered, but her spine straightened. Sarah reached out desperately. Don't leave me. Emily shook her head, her voice final. You left me first. Daniel steadied Emily's shoulder. Michael muttered, this is the death of forever. Thunder rolled, sealing the end. The storm faded, leaving silence heavier than screams. Emily sat beneath the dim street lamp, her chest hollow. She whispered, I don't recognize myself anymore. Daniel crouched beside her, saying, you're stronger than the pieces she left behind. Sarah lingered in the distance, her figure blurred by rain, shoulders slumped under regret she could not voice. Michael muttered, this is the price of misplaced trust. Emily buried her face in her hands, her sobs raw. The night carried her broken breaths, mixing with the smell of wet concrete. Daniel's steady hand on her shoulder reminded her she wasn't completely alone. Sarah turned away, unable to face the ruin she had caused. Michael whispered, the ashes remain, but fire can rise again. Emily lifted her head, eyes swollen but burning with quiet strength. Days later, Emily walked through the park alone, autumn leaves crunching beneath her feet. She whispered to herself, I trusted too much. Daniel joined her, his tone steady. Trust wasn't weakness, Emily, it was love. Michael appeared behind them, murmuring, love can wound deeper than blades. Sarah sat on a bench across the path, eyes red, silent as if begging for forgiveness she couldn't ask for. Emily's steps slowed, her gaze locking with Sarah's. Silence carried everything that words had destroyed. Daniel said, you don't owe her anything. Michael whispered, but silence speaks louder than confessions. Emily inhaled sharply, choosing not to speak. She walked past Sarah, her strength in the refusal to turn back. Emily sat in her bedroom, staring at old photographs taped to the wall, her and Sarah laughing, their pinkies linked, promises forever captured. She whispered, these feel like lies now. Daniel said from the doorway, memories aren't lies, they're truths that ended. Michael leaned against the dresser, murmuring, truths rot when trust decays. Emily pulled down one photo, her hands trembling. Sarah's smiling face seemed to mock her pain. Emily whispered, "She took the best of me." Daniel placed a box on the bed, saying, "Then put her where she belongs, behind you." Michael's gaze lingered, his words soft but sharp. "Healing starts with letting the ghosts starve." Emily placed the photograph inside the box, sealing away a chapter she could no longer carry. Emily returned to the lake where they once made promises. The water shimmered under moonlight, but this time Sarah was not by her side. Daniel skipped a stone across the ripples, whispering, "This is your closure." Michael muttered, "Water remembers, but it also erases." Emily whispered, "I thought forever lived here." The wind carried her words, scattering them across the rippling water. Sarah's reflection no longer haunted the surface. Emily knelt, dropping a folded note into the lake, watching it sink. Daniel said, "You buried it." Michael murmured, "And freed yourself." Emily stood, her eyes steady, her chest no longer hollow. The lake reflected her resilience, not her pain. Emily walked down an empty street at dawn, the first light painting her face. She whispered, "I am not broken. I am becoming." Daniel walked a step behind, silent support. Michael's voice lingered, "Scars teach more than love ever did." Sarah stood far away at the corner, watching Emily leave, her face streaked with tears. Emily didn't look back. Her steps were firm, each one carrying her father from the ruins of betrayal. Daniel smiled faintly, knowing she had chosen strength. Michael whispered, "This is not an ending, but a rebirth." Emily's breath fogged in the cold morning air, her heart scarred but steady. She was no longer the girl who believed forever was unbreakable. The night after everything ended, Emily sat alone on her rooftop, the city lights burning below. She whispered, "I don't know if I lost her, or if she lost me." Daniel leaned against the railing, saying, "She lost both of you." Michael muttered, "Some wounds leave echoes louder than the screams that caused them." Emily traced her fingers over the old bracelet Sarah had once given her, the metal cold against her skin. She whispered, "Forever was just a word." Daniel's gaze softened. "Words die when actions betray them." Michael whispered, "And betrayal always carves its own language." Emily exhaled sharply, her breath trembling in the cool air, her heart balancing between grief and strength. Emily walked past the cafe where Sarah once laughed with her. Now Sarah sat alone inside, her smile gone. Emily whispered, "She wanted my secrets, not me." Daniel muttered, "She caged herself with them." Michael whispered, "Secrets don't keep you warm. They burn you." Emily paused for a moment at the glass window, her reflection merging with Sarah's broken silhouette inside. Sarah lifted her head, their eyes locking briefly. The silence between them was louder than any apology. Emily turned away, her step steady. Daniel said, "That was your goodbye without words." Michael murmured, "Sometimes silence is sharper than truth." The finality was unshakable. Emily returned to her childhood room, walls still carrying echoes of laughter she once shared with Sarah. She whispered, "We carved our names here once." Daniel traced a finger over the faded writing on the wall, saying, "Names don't erase, but meaning fades." Michael muttered, "Ghosts live in ink as much as in memory." Emily pressed her hand against the wall, feeling both comfort and grief. Sarah's voice echoed in memory, promising forever. Emily whispered, "She betrayed every version of us we could have been." Daniel's jaw tightened. She betrayed herself too. Michael's voice lingered softly. Truth always haunts the betrayer more than the betrayed. Emily closed her eyes, sealing the memory inside her chest. Emily stood at the edge of the bridge, overlooking the river, the city lights shimmering in ripples below. She whispered, "I thought losing her meant losing myself." Daniel said, "No, you found yourself in the breaking." Michael muttered, "Scars are stronger than untouched skin." Sarah's absence was louder than her presence had ever been. Emily held her breath, then released it, as though exhaling Sarah's shadow once and for all. Daniel touched her shoulder gently, grounding her. Michael whispered, This is the moment where endings turn to beginnings. Emily felt the night air cleanse her wounds, the river carrying away the weight of what had once been. At dawn, Emily whispered the words that would scar and free her. I lost my best friend the day I found out who she really was. The morning sun broke over the horizon, painting her face with light. Daniel stood silently beside her, his expression proud yet sorrowful. Michael murmured, "The scar remains, but so does strength." Sarah was nowhere in sight, her shadow erased from Emily's path. Emily's steps moved forward, her voice echoing once more. She loved my secrets more than she loved me. Those final words cut through the quiet morning, leaving behind an ache that would never fully fade, but would no longer hold her hostage.